In this presentation, we will summarize the three prophecies of Aldous Huxley. These prophecies are central themes in three of his novels, Brave New World, Ape Essence, and Island. Part 1. Prophecy is customarily thought of as a vision and prediction for our future, and certainly this was Huxley's goal when he wrote Brave New World. While his vision is satirical, it is nonetheless based on Huxley's own study of the rapidly changing, technologically advancing world that he inhabited in the early 20th century. As he wrote 5 years before Brave New World, prophecies of the future, if they are to be intelligent, not merely fantastic, must be based on a study of the present, for the future is the present projected. Yet, because he was a serious student of human nature and read widely throughout his life about research findings in many fields of inquiry, Huxley's views of our possible future continued to change. His vision was especially affected by the emergence of nuclear power in its potentially destructive impact. On this account, Huxley recognized that the future of human life, while precarious, was uncertain, and could thus take several different directions. While he maintained to the end of his life that the future he portrayed in Brave New World was increasingly possible, he nonetheless advanced two more prophecies. In this respect, Huxley's prophecies are not dogmatic predictions of a fate we cannot avoid. Rather, they can be viewed as social visions of possible futures. As suggested, in 3 books, Huxley advances 3 prophecies. The first is Brave New World. Published in 1932, Brave New World is Huxley's most famous novel. It is frequently cited among the most important novels in the English language as well as the 20th century. While often referred to as a dystopian novel, this is not accurate. Huxley never referred to it as such, preferring to call it a bad utopia. By this term, he meant to convey the idea of a society that was in many ways superficially very attractive. But it is one that makes people happy, as Huxley wrote, under conditions that we really should not be happy. For this reason, I believe it is best to refer to Brave New World as a pseudo-utopia. It is a society that, among other things, controls people by manipulating their access to various pleasures. Huxley's second prophetic novel, Ape Essence, was written in 1948, in the wake of both the Nazi-orchestrated Holocaust as well as the first use of nuclear weapons with the dropping of the atom bombs on Japan. As such, Ape Essence is a true dystopian vision of a nightmarish world. The story may even be seen as the inspiration for all subsequent post-apocalyptic dystopian novels of cruel and inhumane societies. Finally, there is Huxley's Island, a true utopian vision, albeit a vision Huxley described as a pragmatic dream, since he firmly believed he depicted a society that was not unrealistically ideal. Huxley wrote Island because he did not want his legacy to be defined solely on how human society fails to preserve the best in human nature. Ultimately, Huxley's first 2 prophecies represent predictions for a future dominated by a host of dehumanizing forces currently undermining our society and our humanity. Island, on the other hand, represents Huxley's plan for restoring and preserving our most sacred human values. Let's now look at each prophecy a bit more closely to see a few of the ways in which they depict forces that are currently at work in our society. Forces that sometimes appear for the better, but may, in Huxley's estimate, nonetheless be for the worse. Brave New World could be described as a populist nightmare, insofar as it is a society created by and governed for the benefit of the elite within a genetically engineered caste system. It is a caste system that concentrates the power among those of elite intelligence. As a leader in Brave New World explains, the optimal composition of a society is modeled on the iceberg, 8/9 below the water, the masses of the population, and 1/9 above, the leadership. In Brave New World, that 1/9 of the population who occupy all leadership roles are the alphas, who are then followed in a descending order by the betas all the way down to the epsilons. Thus, this is not a purely eugenic society designed to optimize the intelligence of all citizens. On the contrary, rather than creating citizens who were all highly intelligent, which they could, this society purposely creates and maintains inequality in the status hierarchy. It is a measure the society's leaders maintain aimed at ensuring social stability. Huxley's ideas were in sharp contrast with the eugenic proponents of the early 20th century that included some American scientists as well as the Nazis. Huxley recognized that status and social hierarchy are deeply rooted in human nature. Unlike Orwell's 1984, which relied on coercion, fear, and Big Brother to intimidate its citizens into compliance, Brave New World maintains that a more secure society can be established through the provision, regulation, and encouragement of various pleasures, entertainments, and distractions that readily pacifies the population. This includes the promotion of recreational sex that keeps the population happily preoccupied and distracted. So how else does Huxley's Society of Brave New World create social stability? The answer is education through the powerful principles of behavioral conditioning. The underlying idea that guides conditioning is this: the secret of happiness and virtue is liking what you've got to do. All education through conditioning is managed by the state, not by parents, since all babies are created in the laboratory. On this account, these goals can be reinforced with the ample provision and encouragement of recreational sex. However, they are even further reinforced through the dispensation of a wonderful recreational drug known as soma. Curiously, lower caste are also conditioned to hate books, avoid nature, to like sport, and to be avid consumers. Almost 90 years later, we can see elements of Huxley's vision in Brave New World emerging in our own. While Americans like to pay lip service to the principle of equality and equal opportunity, it has become clear over the last 60 years that our own educational and demographic caste system has begun to define our society. This caste system was initially built on psychometrics and standardized tests, specifically the widespread use and abuse of the SAT, or Scholastic Aptitude Test, as a facilitator of our social and educational caste system. Originally viewed as a means of increasing social mobility and educational opportunity, the SAT has instead become a means by which our society effectively sorts and assigns students to their appropriate place in our educational and social caste system, and inadvertently creates a class of elites more likely to exploit inequities to their own advantage than to remedy them. It is a caste system that consists of the most selective, elite, and expensive colleges at the top and descends through a range of increasingly less selective institutions all the way through to community colleges. Each level of this hierarchy is largely distinguished by both SAT scores as well as the cost of tuition, either of which alone far exceeds the accessibility of most Americans. Clearly, this caste system of ours is not as rigid, inflexible, and socially isolating as that which we find in Brave New World. And in our world, there are still exceptions to the principle of social assignment. However, many social scientists and demographers have already acknowledged that homogamy, marriage and childbearing limited to members of our current classes, is already shaping American society. Now, to be fair, we should acknowledge that many colleges have stopped using the SAT for admission. However, It should not be forgotten that the most elite, selective, and expensive colleges and universities have no plans of abandoning the SAT as part of their admissions process. Furthermore, it has been my observation that college administrators, as well as many faculty, remain among the most obsessed with college status and rankings. It should be clear that the privileges conferred upon those who attend elite schools are considerable and not to be underestimated. It is the reason why admission to one of these schools is so coveted. It is also the inspiration for an array of cheating strategies designed to provide some young people an advantage in their quest for admission. These incidents periodically become newsworthy. I believe this system of ours favors the privileges of an elite regardless of whether they be of the political left or the political right. For what might be an increasing number of citizens, a combination of either political apathy and or distracting entertainments serves the purpose of stabilizing this caste system. Finally, there is the matter of consumer distractions through social media, entertainment, as well as the proliferation of new technologies. Coupled with nearly non-stop advertising to keep us buying things and the availability of birth control methods, we have created something of a perfect storm of mass distraction and pacification. This is not to suggest that many of these innovations and inventions have not also been liberating. Rather, it is to underscore what Huxley maintained, namely that no technological innovation is wholly good or bad. They are both, with an upside and a downside to every new technology introduced to a society, whether that be the discovery of atomic energy, birth control technology, or the internet. I might point out that while Huxley was not a Puritan when it came to human sexuality, he nonetheless recognized the role that commitment-free recreational sex might pose as a distraction and a pacifier of a population, making it politically compliant, distracted, and more easily governable. Indeed, when we consider voter participation in the U.S. today, coupled with strategies designed to make voting more challenging, we must call into question whether our democracy is becoming more like the autocratic meritocracy advocated by Plato rather than the democracy envisioned by Thomas Jefferson. This is the end of part 1.